First of all, having a Bex, it's really humid and hot, so sweaty man again. Yeah, I just put the shirt on so it hasn't had a chance to sweat up, but you'll soon see. Anyway, cheers. Nothing like the first beer of the day. It is sensational. So, that's Beck's German. Anyway, first off the bat, I wanted to discuss the Savage Model 25, which at various points I have said was okay, was good, was a piece of garbage, was junk, was an expensive crowbar. Well, it's all of the above. Alright, it really is. Their barrels are excellent. This action is, yeah, second rate. The extractor is half-assed. The trigger mechanism is half-assed. And because the trigger was so crap, I shelled out the money and bought a Rifle Basics trigger. And 100% USA made, from Brownells. I can't remember how much it cost. It wasn't cheap. So what you got with it is that you got a brand new trigger, which whether that's laser cut or cast, because it's got a line down the centre of it. Intimates to me that maybe it was cast. I don't know, but it has been machined. It's certainly much nicer than the Savage, which is the Savage trigger is a piece of junk. But so you got that. You got the spring, which was a hell of a lot long. Oh no, that was the spring. So that was the spring that you got with it. So that's the original spring that I have not touched. And which was a hell of a lot shorter, because the original spring is like twice the length of it. So when I first got it, I thought, man, that spring's really short. And guess what? It's too short. This rifle, when I had the Rifle Basics set up in here, it'd just break. The trigger would just, as soon as I put that handle down, the trigger, as soon as I put that down, bang, it'd break. Like. And then I made it heavier, tried this, tried that, put the original spring back in with the Rifle Basics, that didn't work. So what I've done is I've actually put the original trigger back in with this stupid thing. And because I've got springs out the wazoo, all different types of springs that I've collected over the years. I actually found one that was an appropriate length, long enough, but which it wouldn't just break. You would have to actually pull the trigger. I had that Rifle Basics one to the point where the trigger was light, and I kept cycling it and it didn't break, and I thought, beauty, I finally got it. And then bang, it'd break, and it'd just keep breaking again. And I was like, oh, what do I got to do? But now, with this spring, the spring has to be long enough. So with this spring, because the problem was that the trigger was a piece of shit and it was really heavy. So that's one of the first things I do is change triggers. So now it's 2 pounds 14 ounces. £3, so it's between 2 pounds 14 ounces and 3 pounds, which I mean, regardless of which doesn't feel that bad. Regardless of what the weight of it is, at least it's safe, and it wasn't before. It just wasn't. So what I'll do is once if I ever get the RCBS Summit Press, which they're still not in the country, so I don't know what to do. Unless I want to pay an absolute shitload and import it myself, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to have to wait till it comes into the country, and then I'll make up some 17 Hornet ammo, and then shoot this, because I'm not going to bother to make any more 17 Hornet ammo until I have got, because I've got a concentricity gauge, I've got comparators, I've got a Hornety die set with micrometer, so I can get those tiny little rounds really accurate, because that's the problem. Everything's so small that accuracy is really hard to achieve. Hard to achieve really high level of accuracy with cheap crap components. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the Savage. I won't get back onto that until I've made up some decent ammo. But anyway, I've got the thing working, and it's safe. The trigger just doesn't break on its own. Yeah, and 3 pounds. Yeah, that'll do. I'd like like 1.5 pounds, but yeah, that's not going to happen. Anyway, I'm just going to have some more Bex priced. So today I went to the range because what I wanted to do was to see if I could get this thing to shoot decent groups, because the issue with it, when I first bought it, I looked down the barrel, and the lands are really proud, the rifling is very prominent, it's not smoothbore, it's not worn out, it really impressed me. And then when I took it home and started scrubbing it, I scrubbed all the lead fouling out of it, because obviously the last person that was shooting was using lead projectiles. A lot of people here do that with 303s, with the old Lee Enfields. They'll cast their own lead projectiles for whatever reason. I don't know. I really don't. When you take into account the amount of farting around to make the things, personally, I just prefer jacketed projectiles. I really do. That's my preference, but you just open the box and away you go. Anyway, the problem that I had with this was when I tried 180 grain factory ammo through it, it was just sideways keyholes and about a foot spread. No shit. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. So then it dawned on me, well, hang on a minute. You know what? Because once I'd scrubbed all that lead out of there, and then it took me ages to get all that lead fouling out of there. Then I looked down there, and the rifling, yeah, it was still prominent and proud, but it looked like someone had gone through it with a Dremel. It was, yeah, a horror story. Just consistent pitting all the way down. So anyway, but the rifling is still good. It's still there. It's just rough. So then I thought, well, maybe I need to go a lighter projectile, which I did, and I tested it with lighter projectiles, and yeah, it stabilised them. They weren't keyholing. This is at 100 metres, 110 yards, pardon me. They weren't keyholing, they were stabilising, but the groups were crap. Mind you, my old eyesight, crap iron sights. So anyway, I'd sort of almost given up on it, thinking I've got to get this thing rebarreled. This barrel's just rubbish. Well, later on, not long ago, well, only a few days ago, I thought, hang on a minute. This is this model, this is the #1 Mark 1. So the first smokeless Lee Enfield. Now, and I thought they would have been firing pretty slow rounds through it. There wouldn't have been hot stuff at all. Why don't I just drop that charge down? So originally, I think the original charge weight that I used was 49 grains of AR2209, which is, I think, Hodgson 4350. what everyone uses in the Creedmoors, and just large rifle primers with 150 grain hot cores, spear hot cores, and that was all right, but the groups were crap. So I thought, hang on a minute, why don't I work my way down in the powder weights? So originally I had it at 45 grains, so I thought, no, I'll start at 43 grains and I'll go down by 2 grains. So I had 10 rounds of 43, 10 rounds of 41, 10 rounds of 39, 10 rounds of 37, and I think 7 rounds of 35 grains. So the lowest reduction in powder was 10 grains less than the original load, 35 grains, which is 10 grains less than 45. Now, I'll show you what happened. So, I started shooting, and this is the way it was, and like, yeah, it was sort of big and a little bit smaller. So that's 2 groups. So that's 5 shots. All right. So that's so that would have been 43. This was 41. These 2 groups are 41. So that's pretty good. That's about an inch. Right. This is only at 25 meters. Now look, I know people are going to say, well, it's only 25 meters. Yeah, but it's these eyes. I can't even. Either I use glasses and I can see the target reasonably, or I take the glasses off and I can see the sights, but the target is just a blur. So, but there is a device, and I'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, the lower the powder charge, the tighter the groups were getting. So this one and this one are 37 grains. Now, that one's pretty good, but that's 5 shots. So I have had 2 rounds go through 2 holes somewhere. So yeah, that's definitely the way to go. Then I had 7 rounds of 30, because I didn't think that going that low would be all that successful. So I left where I instead of 10 rounds for that powder weight, I only had 7 left. That's now how many empty cases I had left to load into 35 grains of AR-2209, hydrogen 4350. That's 7 rounds. Okay. Now you can only imagine how you couldn't wipe the smile off my face, right? You couldn't take the smile off my face, with sandpaper. It was so clearly 35 grains of AR-2209 with a 150 grain hot core. I wanted to buy some more hot cores. Everybody was out of them, so I actually got some Sierras, which are almost identical. Well, the Sierras are probably a better projectile. So that's the way to go. 35 grains of AR-2209. It's 7 rounds, that ragged hole. Excellent. Fantastic. Now, so to aid in with my eyesight, there's a device called an eye pal, and what it is when you get your glasses, right? This isn't the glasses. It's a rubber little suction cup peep sight that just sticks onto your glasses, and then by utilising that, you can focus on both your sights and the target at the same time, no problems. It's just essentially a reduction of the amount of light that's coming into your eyeball, and it works, because I actually had a look at one other guy's. That's how I found out about it, from the guy at the range. He had it, and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Oh, this is how I focus." Or I said to him, I can only see the sights or the target, I can't see both. And he said, "Well, just chuck one of these on your glasses." And I said, "Oh, sweet." So yeah, so as far as one of the issues with this thing is that the rear sight there's got a lot of sideways slop. The other thing is it does shoot a bit high, and I think one of the reasons is that it's sitting right down on the steel or the wood. Oh no, it's sitting on the steel. Yeah, it shoots a little bit high, but then it's what's the minimum is like, I think, I don't know what the minimum's supposed to be. That's a new rear part, and the front blade is new. So anyway, as far as function, I just want to say about function. I did make up 10 dummy rounds just to test out if the magazine functions properly. I didn't want to test it out, an old gun like this with live rounds. The magazine works perfect. Once I had cleaned it out, the magazine works great. The bolt, I think, because with these rounds I used what S&B cases I had that were reusable, because I went through all those S&B cases that I'd used previously once fired, and got one of these things in the cases just to see if there was any if there was a ring thinning at the head, and easily 1/4 of those cases were junk. After like one firing, there was a serious thinning of the wall down near the head of those cases. I was actually going to cut one in half and show you, but I'm not going to lie about it. The Cellar and Bellow brass, I don't know whether it's that batch, but you see, 3/4 of them are fine. They don't the walls haven't thinned, so I don't know what's going on with S&B brass, whether that was just a shit batch or what. But anyway, what I found is that the brass does stretch. So I actually managed. This is the bizarre thing. Like 303 British. There was a point at which pretty much there wasn't a family in Australia that did not have one of these in their cupboard. Right, back in the day when you could store it in your cupboard and you didn't need a licence in Queensland, right? Everybody had one of these in there. There's quite literally, probably, I don't know, tens of thousands of these things in the country that people still shoot, and yet components like brass is just so hard to get. Bullets are just so hard to get. I'd had this thing on order, I don't know, a couple of times, and then I walked in another gun shop, the other gun shop that I shop at, and they had it on their shelf. It's a Lee quick trim die, because the 303 brass does stretch. So it's only $25. So bonus, I can actually fix the brass up. But yeah, that's really bizarre. I don't understand that. There are that many 303s here in Australia, and yet it's really hard to get bullets. 150 grain, 180 grains, yeah. But 150 grains, really hard. There just isn't a lot. Hard to get bullets. Hard to get brass. Really hard to get brass. It's just I don't get it. You don't see reloading dies on their shelves for 303. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. People have not stopped shooting 303s. Okay, people still shoot them. Keep the shit on your. I go to the shop and I says, "Oh, have you got this thing for 303?" No. I was like, well, why not? How many people have asked for it? Oh, quite a few. Well, get the frigging thing in. But my understanding is that even for the shops, it's hard for them to get, bullets, brass for 303 for anything, pretty much. Let's do it. Yeah. So anyway, I'm really, again, 7 rounds in a ragged hole. Sweet. I got this thing shooting. I got it shooting. I want to take a hunting. That and the Martini Enfield. This wood is shite. It's just cracked. Cracked here, cracked there, cracked everywhere. That's one of the problems of the Lee Enfield design, is that the wood is not good. I'd really like to get it probably I don't know, probably, what I was saying, but both of the Enfields get them cerakoted and get some new wood, because this thing's really worn down and cracked everywhere, and a couple of new screws and whatnot. But anyway, so I've actually got, I was really disappointed in the beginning. Now, no, it's a sweet shooting gun. I've got it to where it can shoot. This thing here, I've got it to where, it's not, the trigger is not just breaking any time. So that's sweet. All I need to do is just get an actual lighter spring of that length, and then it'll be really light, because at the moment it's 3 pounds or under. That's not good enough for me. I've got to try and find another spring somewhere. I don't know, I've got that many springs, it's not funny. I've got to try and find another one. There's another set of springs. I've got springs everywhere. But that one's too short. Yeah. I'm going to try and find another spring that's lighter than that, but the same size, same length essentially. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. I've got to go to work day after tomorrow, so when I come back, I don't know what I'll do. Hopefully the RCBS Summit will turn up. I don't know. But anyway, until then, see you later.